Imagine you are sitting in the control room of an airport. Suddenly a strange signal appears on the radar. A plane that had disappeared 35 years ago suddenly returns to your screen. You are surprised to see that this is the same plane, Flight 513, which had disappeared in 1954 without leaving any trace. But the real shock comes when this plane lands on the runway. Today we will talk about the mystery of Flight 513, which shook the whole world. The year was 1954. The world was slowly turning the dream of modern air travel into reality. At that time, the name of Pan American Airlines was considered a symbol of trust and safe flying. A flight of this company, Flight 513, took off from Germany's Hanover Airport for Brazil's Rio de Janeiro with 88 passengers and 4 crew members. Excitement was visible on the faces of the passengers at the airport. Some were going to meet their families, while some were crossing the ocean in search of new dreams. The captain, who was considered a very experienced pilot, was full of confidence. The weather department had also reported clear skies and no danger. That means everything was perfect for the flight. But who knew that this journey would be recorded in the most mysterious flights of history? The first few hours were absolutely normal. There was clear communication between the pilot and the control tower on the radio. The speed, height and direction of the plane were all normal. Then as soon as the plane reached above the Atlantic Ocean, something strange happened. Suddenly, without any warning, the radar signal of the plane disappeared. The officers of the control tower were shocked at first and then immediately came into alert mode. They tried to contact the pilot again and again, but they did not get any reply. There was silence on the radio. The blip of the plane, which was shining on the screen just a few minutes ago, it seemed as if it had disappeared in a jiffy. Air traffic control immediately sent search and rescue teams. Ships and helicopters went out on the vast Atlantic, cutting through the waves of the sea. But neither smoke was seen in the sky nor any debris on the sea. Time kept passing, but neither the plane was found nor the passenger nor any last message. Eventually, the airlines announced with a heavy heart that Flight 513 had probably disappeared into the depths of the ocean forever. But the real mystery was about to begin now. After mysteriously disappearing in 1954, the story of Flight 513 slowly started fading from people's memories and the pages of newspapers. The families of the passengers accepted the grief of losing their loved ones. The airlines closed the case and the world accepted that this plane was buried in the darkness of history forever. But then on October 12, 1989, everything was going on normally at Porto Alegre Airport in Brazil. Everything was routine for the officials sitting in the control tower. Then suddenly an unknown plane appeared on the radar. Initially, they thought that perhaps it was an old cargo or military plane that was coming to land without any information. The control tower immediately tried to contact that plane on the radio. But as usual, there was no response. A few minutes later, a shining propeller plane was visible from a distance in the sky. Gradually it came closer and finally landed very softly on the runway. The airport staff and officers were surprised to see that scene because that plane did not look like a dilapidated old plane but was brand new and shining. When people came closer and saw the identity of the plane, their breath stopped. It was Pan American Airlines, Santiago Flight 513, the same plane that suddenly disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean in 1954. Even after being missing for 35 years, the plane looked as if it had just been taken out of a hangar. There was no rust or effective time on its engine, its wings and even its paint. But the real fear started when the officials opened its door. As soon as the door opened, everyone got goosebumps seeing the scene inside. All the 92 passengers and crew sitting on the seats were present in their respective places. but they had all turned into skeletons. Every passenger was wearing his seatbelt, as if they were on the same journey even today. The captain was sitting in the cockpit, leaning on his controls. In the form of a skeleton, the flight attendants were also standing, as if they were busy serving the passengers. But now only the skeletons were left. And the scariest thing was that the skeleton of the pilot sitting in the cockpit was still holding the controls. His fingers seemed to still be holding the stick. The state of his face showed that he was stuck in that moment of death while handling the plane. The atmosphere inside the plane was as if the wheel of time had suddenly stopped. As if every sound, every breath, every flicker had stopped in 1954 itself. And the outer part was shining, absolutely new, absolutely perfect. Now just imagine if this plane had crashed in 1954. Then how did it come back after 35 years without any damage? And if the passengers had died at that time itself, then how did this plane remain safe in the sea or in the air for so many years? Was it a time loft or a mysterious gap trapped in time, or is it not just a natural anomaly but the play of some supernatural powers? As the officers were stepping inside the plane, their hearts were beating fast with every step. Every seat, every skeleton, every control panel was telling them a ghostly story. Sometimes it seemed that if they got a shock, all these skeletons could suddenly come alive and move, and the old voices, screams, radio sounds, the last whisper of the pilot could be heard again. Here not only death but the mystery of time and the play of unknown powers was hidden. This mystery forced everyone to think that Flight 513 was not just a missing plane. Rather, it is an ancient mystery trapped between time and reality. The ghostly return of Flight 513 created a stir all over the world. At first the media considered it a sensational news. Then experts and scientists tried to understand it deeply. But as soon as they tried to get to the bottom of the matter, the mystery became even deeper. The first theory that came to the fore was time theory. Many experts believe that Flight 513 was stuck in an invisible time portal. This portal probably brought the plane from 1954 to 1989 at a particular place in the Atlantic Ocean. This means that the journey for the plane and the passengers was only a few hours long. But in the real world, 35 years had passed. If this is true, then this could be one of those science stories that are still beyond human understanding. The second theory that was spread rapidly by the media was the alien theory. Some people say that the plane and its passengers were abducted by aliens. They were doing strange experiments on the passengers. But for some reason the passengers died and then the plane was released back. Completely clean and brand new. This theory further fueled people's imagination. If the intervention of aliens was true, then could this be the first evidence of being beyond the boundaries of our world and time? Some reports said that this plane could be part of an experiment by the US government or some secret organization. They had to test some technology, like the Philadelphia experiment, in which an attempt was made to make the plane invisible and move it in time. Now just think, was Flight 513 also such a secret experiment which got lost in the mystery and suddenly came to light after 35 years? But some scientists and historians consider it only a rumor and myth. They say that there is no official proof of the story of Flight 513. Neither any plane record, nor any aircraft company document, and nor any dead body evidence. But now the question is, if all this was only a rumor, then why is this incident mentioned in many newspapers and reports? Why do the employees of Porto Alegre Airport who recorded the scene of the landing of this plane tell such accurate and horrifying details in their memories? Some employees said that they saw it slowly landing on the runway and noted its shining paint and absolutely perfect landing. Some also told that the plane never emitted smoke or sound. It was as if this plane had come from another layer of time and reality, and the condition of the passengers was like that of a skeleton sitting on their seats with the pilot holding the controls. Was it all a collective illusion, or was Flight 513 really trapped in time? And 35 years later it suddenly arrived in the future. Some mystics say that this plane came back only because of some invisible force that broke the rules of time. Some scientists believe it to be the result of time work or time portal, which may seem impossible, but the condition of Flight 513 forces us to believe this theory, and the scariest thought is that the plane not only completed its journey but also brought the death and silence of that time with it. Even after 35 years, the faces of the passengers, their posture and their skeletons were trying to tell us that there is something between time, death and reality which humans have not yet been able to understand. A new layer opens behind every question, and this mystery makes Flight 513 not just a missing plane but a symbol of time, death and ghostly experiences. Is this plane really a living mystery stuck between ghosts, time and science, or is it just the result of the depth of human imagination and fear? The more we search, the deeper the mystery gets. And perhaps this is the reason why Flight 513 is still considered one of the biggest mysteries of history. This mysterious story of 513 still scares and surprises people. That if all this was just a rumor, then why did the governments of many countries remain silent on it? Why did the airline company never give an open statement about this flight? Was the truth hidden, so that the world does not know the reality? Many conspiracy theorists believe that Flight 513 was not just an accident but a part of some big secret experiment. Perhaps this plane got stuck in some technology that the general public could not know, and this is the reason why the story of this flight was always suppressed in official records by calling it a myth. And even if it is assumed that the incident of Flight 513 was true, then it means that time travel or travel to different dimensions is possible for humans. Did this plane accidentally pass through the door from where the flow of time changes? If this happened, then the question also arises whether even today any other plane can get lost in an invisible portal, and if this is true, then perhaps Flight 513 is the first and last proof that shows us that the limits of man and time are not as strong as we think. If you like this video, then like the video and definitely tell your thoughts in the comment. Was Flight 513 really a proof of time travel or just a scary rumor? And yes, do not forget to subscribe to the channel for such mysterious stories, because the stories ahead are going to be even more mysterious than this.